Hello and welcome to part 10 of the ongoing AS and A-Level Java series, and in this episode we are going to be looking at Booleans. So I do realize that we might have looked in Booleans when we did the episode on data types, I think, but this episode it's quite important because we are just going to look at, it's a revisit of Booleans, but I also like that it's going to emphasize the importance of Booleans, as you shall come to realize that Booleans are quite important when we start looking at decision making and looping as well, is it? So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right in. So the first thing that we're going to look at is how to declare a boolean, and you might recall that we make use of the boolean keyword and is available. That's the variable name that we're going to choose for this particular boolean. We can set it to true. So you might remember that booleans, they can assume either one of two values. So it's either going to be true or it's either going to be false. That's the whole essence behind booleans. So this is how you can declare a boolean, right? You have the boolean keyword, then the identifier, then you have the value right there. So it can either be true or false. Then in order for you to print out a boolean value, you can just come down in there and say system dot out dot print line. Then we simply want to print is available. Why is it not giving me that? It's because my available is different from that one. I was hoping to get that syntax highlighting. Alright, yeah, that's just about it. So is available. Yeah, so if we just go ahead and run that, you realize that we simply get true down there in the console right here. Yeah, as you'd expect. Then let's also move on to look at relational operators and booleans. So you might recall in the previous tutorial we did look at the math class, but okay, maybe what we can do for this one, let's declare a string called user name. Then maybe let's also have another one called admin name. So the admin name, maybe let's say it's admin. Then for the username, let's say it's user, right? So what we want to do is we want to compare if these two strings are equal, and we simply want to output that the boolean that would be returned by making use of the equals operator, the equals method, which is used to check the equality of strings. So the way we'd go about it is we would say system dot out dot print line. Then in order for us to actually output that value, maybe let's declare a variable of type boolean right here. Then let's just call it check, right? Then inside of check we want to say username dot equals admin name. That's all we need to do. So what this line is doing is that it's going to take the username string, right, which we declared on line 12. Then on that particular username object, remember string is a class in Java. So if you create a username string called user in this case, basically it's just an object. And so it means that if it is an object, it means we can make use of the dot selector to select particular methods that are contained within the string class, and then we can perform actions like checking if this particular object is equal to this particular object, is it? So that's what we are basically doing here. So we are checking if the username object equals the admin object by making use of the equals method that is built within the string class. That's what we're doing here. Then after checking the equals method, what it does is that let me just hover over it and you see. So you can see here that it is of type boolean, right here. You can see that it is boolean and it is contained in the java.lang.string class, and that's just that is the equals method, and it takes an object. And here we instantiated or we created an object called username, rather two objects, right, username and admin. So we are comparing these two objects to see if they are equal. And you notice that you remember that this one, this equals method, it returns a boolean, right? So it means whatever the evaluation that's going to be made in this case, it's going to be a boolean value, and we are now taking that boolean value and we are now storing it inside of check. Then on line 14, you're simply printing out the value of check. So let's go ahead and run that code, and you'll see that it's going to be false, right? So if you think about it, it makes sense, because username on the string that is in there is what? It's user. Then the string that is inside of admin name is actually what? Admin. So user and admin, they are two different objects. So that's why it's giving us a value of false when we finally print the value of what? Of check, which is of type boolean. Okay, maybe I think I might have actually done this the opposite way. This one I was supposed to put it under the built-in methods. Then maybe for relational operators, let's just declare two values. Let's declare double called num1, and let's give it a value of 10, or maybe 10.5 or 10.6. Then we can also have another double called num2, and we can give it maybe a value of 9.1. Then let's declare a boolean called greater. Then we are going to say num1 greater than num2, right? So we are comparing if num1 is greater than num2. So if that is equal, we simply, or whatever the case might be, we simply want to system.out.println. So we want to print greater. That is the boolean that will be stored inside of greater. That's what we want to print out. So if we go ahead and run this code, we should get true, because num1 is indeed bigger than what? Than num2. So you see here that we have this value of true here, right? So that's how booleans are always returned by relational operators. So again, remember, relational operators, we have the greater than, we have the less than, we have the equals, which is the double equal sign, by the way, right? Because the single equal sign is for assignment in Java. Then yeah, we do have a couple more relational operators, but basically all of them, they return a boolean value, and you can always do something with that boolean value in your programs, as you come to realize later on. But I think that's just about it for this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one.